If you keep telling yourself, I need to start working out, but the idea of a gym, a program, or a perfect schedule makes you quit before you begin, listen up. Walking is not what you do until you do a real workout. Walking is the workout. Today, I'm giving you a simple movement system built around walking that actually fits real life. No shame, no extremes, just a plan you can keep.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or maybe it's evening. It doesn't really matter what time it is, and it doesn't even matter where you are. We want to welcome you to Wholeness Wednesdays. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and join our host, Beatrice Hutchison, as we explore and experience our journey to complete wholeness.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Completely Whole's Wholeness Wednesdays. And I'm your host, Beatrice Hutcherson. And this month we have been talking about the body reset, physical wholeness without the hustle. Last week we did, which was the first installment of this series, we talked about an energy audit. And this week we're building the movement system. And next week we'll talk about the nourish system. And then in the last week, in week 4, we'll talk about sleep and recovery. So let's answer the big question right up front. Let's talk about it before we even dive in. Let's answer the big question that everyone wants the answer to. How much should I walk to be healthier? A practical target for many adults is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week, and brisk walking counts. That can look like 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or broken into smaller chunks across the day. The key is consistency and progressively increasing what you can sustain. And if you really want to get high impact, you can look, there's some apps out there that can help you look at your age and your height to really get the exact number of steps that you need to get in, right? And so, but the idea is to be consistent. The CDC and federal physical activity guidelines commonly recommend 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic activity for adults, as we mentioned, right? But we want to, of course, build up to that. So if you're starting from zero, you do not start at 150 minutes. You start where you are and then you build from there. So let's talk about why walking works. Walking is really it's underrated because it is accessible and sustainable, right? So we often take it for granted, but it is powerful. Harvard Health notes that walking is associated with health benefits and can improve cardiovascular fitness and reduce disease risk when done regularly. And research reviews consistently show physical activity supports mood and energy and overall health. Walking is a simple, free activity that you can use to improve your health. Now let's talk about the movement system. I call this system the start small, stack steps, strengthen system. So we start small, we stack the steps, and then we strengthen. So start small is so that it's doable, right? So if you immediately say 150 minutes, then that's a lot, right? So we want to start small. We want to do what's doable. And then we stack the steps so it becomes a routine. We're going to talk about what that means. And then we want to strengthen by progressing gradually. So you only need these three parts. So you need a weekly target, a daily minimum, and a progression plan. So now let's really dive in and go a little bit deeper on what these steps mean. So step one, start small, right? So it's your minimum. The minimum matters. It don't discount it. It matters. So here is your minimum. Choose one. It can be 5 minutes a day. It can be 10 minutes a day. It can be 15 minutes a day. And so I know that those seem really small, right? If you're really trying to walk, to do if it's for your health, to improve your health, for weight loss. I know it seems really minimal, right? But every little bit counts and it helps. So you can identify what your minimum is. Your minimum is the habit. It's the maximum that is the bonus, right? So minimum is your habit. And then whatever else you do outside of that, the maximum, if you're able to go up to that, then that's your bonus. If you only walk 5 minutes a day, you still win because you kept the system alive. You were consistent, and consistency is what pays off. So let me talk to you about the walk snack idea. So walk snack is a short walk you do like a snack. Like you would go and grab a snack the same way. You take a quick walk, 3 to 10 minutes, multiple times a day. So an example would be 5 minutes after breakfast. You get up and you walk. 5 minutes at lunchtime, or maybe 5 minutes after dinner. And so the point here is that you do it as a snack. Like you, after you eat a meal, you grab a dessert instead of getting up and grabbing a dessert or a snack. You get up and you walk. So it's the walk snack. 3 small walks can equal 15 minutes, right? If you're doing 3 small 5-minute walks, you can get 15 minutes without even needing to block off your time, right? 5 minutes here and there can add up, but it really doesn't impact the time spent, or really does not cause you to spend a lot of time. Step number two, stack steps. This is where you want to attach walking to your life. So to make this stick, or to make any habit stick, you attach walking. In this instance, you would attach walking to something that you already do. So you use an if then plan. So an example would be, if I finish lunch, then I walk for 5 minutes. If I get home from work, then I walk to the mailbox and back. If I feel stressed, then I take a 3 minute walk break. When you stack it to, or any habit that you're trying to implement, once you stack it to an existing routine, it becomes automatic. Much easier for you to be able to make a habit, or to have it be consistent in your life. Step number three. This is the area, this is the step where we strengthen. So this is progress without burnout. So this is the area where you want to build toward results. So in week one, consistency. That should be your main goal. You just want to be able to be consistent. You just want to show up, do your minimum, but be consistent. In week two, you can add time. So now you started out with your minimum, which was maybe 5 minutes a week. Now you want to add some time to that. So you add 5 minutes to 2 walks in the week, right? Maybe increase it to 2 walks. And so now you have, and then you increase it by 5 minutes. Now you have 10 minutes. Or you can do the 5 minutes to what your already existing walk, or you can increase the walks as well. For week three, you want to add some intensity. So turn one walk into a brisk walk, and then have your other walks be your regular walks, right? But then have one become a brisk walk. And then for week four, you want to add structure to it. So this is where you would implement or try some intervals. So 1 minute of brisk walking with 1 minute of easy walking, right? So 1 minute of brisk, 1 minute of easy, and you want to do that for 10 minutes. Or hill walking if you have a hill nearby. And so something you want to think about here is that it's progress. You want to highlight or focus on progress, and understand, with the understanding that progress should feel challenging but not punishing. Now let's talk about walking for real life results. If your goal is weight loss, mood, blood pressure, energy, or stress relief, walking supports all of it. But the most important benefit is this: walking is a gateway habit. When you start to move, you tend to hydrate more, you sleep better, and you make better food choices. Movement creates, if nothing else, it creates momentum. All right, so here we have it here. So this is the actual toolkit that I mentioned. So we have the body reset toolkit. And so this is what we are working from each time that we come together for the month of May. So this week we are talking about the movement system. So let me move us here. Yeah, so movement system, right? So this is what we want to talk, and this is we talked about the walk snack already, right? So that gives you just a little menu there that help you along, and then your walking plan. That's what we want to do together right now. So the walking plan. Let's create one together. So daily, what would be your minimum? How many minutes do you want to walk per day, right? And so remember, we're not starting at the 150 minutes. We're going to start at our minimum, what we're able to do. If you are a person who has not been physically active, then you're starting at zero. So you want to choose a minimum that is going to be doable to you. Because remember, you don't want to overexert yourself, overwork yourself, and then you're sore and you can't do it the next day, right? So you want to do something that's minimal, right? That you can do and it not put a lot of stress on your body and also your time, right? It's because you want this to become a habit and something that you do long term. And so, with that being said, we want to choose a minimum, start where we are, what feels comfortable. That's where we want to start. And so, choose your daily minimum. What is that going to be? And for me, I'm going to say that's going to be 10 minutes daily, right? Because that's what my time will allow. I'm just going to say I start there, right? My goal really is to do 40 minutes daily, but we're working on that. We're working on the schedule. But just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to say 10 minutes daily, right? And then the days that I want to walk is I want to start off with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then my stacking trigger. And so that's the so that's what I'm going to attach it to, right? So that my stacking trigger is going to be, I'm going to say after meals, right? So that's the area. So after I have a meal, that's going to be my designated time to begin to walk, to do my walks, right? So then the next area is the if then that we talked about, right? And so so I'm going to say after I have, and then for me, it's going to be breakfast and I'm going to say and dinner, right? Those are the two times that I want to designate. I will walk for 10 minutes, right? So that gives me a total of 20 minutes per day. Not quite the 40 that I want, right? But it gives me the 20 minutes, right? Because I'm doing that twice after breakfast and after dinner. I'm going to walk for 10 minutes each. And then my progression goal for week 2 is that I'm going to add 5 minutes to each walk, right? So instead of doing just the 10-minute walks each, now I'm adding 5 minutes, which makes it 15 minutes each. So after breakfast, after dinner, I'm walking for 15 minutes, right? And then my preferred walk time, what is that going to be? So for me, I'll say that that's preferred walk time is mornings and evenings, right? That's why I chose the breakfast and the dinner time because that's outside of the work hours. So I'm able to utilize that time to do that, right? So that is what we want to do. So for you, I want you to do that. I want you to fill that in, and make sure you go and get the access the link in the description below so that you can get this tool as well. This is what we're working from, but this will allow you to be able to download a copy and to put your information in there, right? So that you have it. You're able to write the vision, make it plain, so you're able to stick to it because you have it written, right? So then I want you to go fill this in, put in your daily minimum, put in the days that you will commit to walking, and then you want to identify what your stacking trigger is going to be. What are you attaching this to? And then your after I, whatever it is, then you will walk for a certain amount of minutes. And then your progression for week 2, adding minutes or maybe some intensity to it, you can do that. Or even put some structure to it, as we talked about, putting in like reps and intervals and things like that. And then what is your preferred walk time? When is the easiest time of the day for you to be able to accomplish this? And remember, you're putting it into times of the day, or activities that you already do throughout the day, which makes it easier. All right, let's talk very quickly about a 4-week walking plan. We'll also do this, and then the other tools you can just use at your leisure. So for the walking plan, week 1, the focus is consistency, right? We want to just show up. And so you put your minimum in there, right? What your actual minimum is going to be. And then for week 2, you're adding time. You add the 5 minutes. That's what I chose to do, add 5 minutes to each of the walks. I'm doing the 2 walks. And so the minimum plus the 5 minutes times 2. And so what does that total for you? And it doesn't have to be the 5 minutes, it's whatever you choose. And then also for week 3, it's add the intensity, 1 brisk walk, right? So instead of the 2 walks being regular walks, you want to add some brisk walking to one of those, or maybe walking up a hill, right? If you have access to one. So that would be what you would do, your 1 brisk walk for the week, or maybe walk uphill some place that has an incline, right? Once a week. And then for week 4, right? So you see how we're building and we're progressing each week. And then for week 4, then we add the structure to it. So then we add the intervals to it. So an example would be a 1-minute brisk walk and then a 1-minute easy walk, right? And then you do this 10 times. And so then you have your 10 minutes, right? And so then of course you would adjust that to however long the time you designate for your walking, right? And so that concludes what we are doing together today. But then also you have here a 7-day habit tracker, gives you some affirmations as well to be able to include there to really help get you moving, get help you to implement this movement system that we are talking about. So do make sure that you go and use the link and get your own tool. And so I hope that that was helpful to you. I'm hoping that you were able to glean something from that, because it really is helpful. Really, really helpful when you're able to put it into a plan and you have that plan available to you so then you can follow it, right? It will help you to be able to implement it. And if you could do me a favor, just comment walking down below and tell me what your minimum is, whether it's 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it is, drop it in the comment section below. I'd love to see what it is. Now let's talk about some common barriers and fixes. How do we fix these common barriers? Because truthfully speaking, there are some barriers, right? So we're going to talk about the common ones. It's not an exhaustive list by any means. But barrier number 1, no time. And so how you would fix this would be the walk snacks that we talked about, right? 3 minutes or 2-minute walk. Doesn't matter how small it is. It adds up and it does count. Another barrier could be no motivation. How do you fix that? So you make it your identity. I am someone who walks. Make it a part of who you are. Another barrier could be weather. So instead of going outdoors, you could do some indoor walking or walking in the hallway, doing some laps there, the stairs, or walking video on YouTube, right? Any of those can help. Another barrier can be pain. So a way that you fix this is you walk at a slower pace, shorter duration, and contact a healthcare professional if you need to. And so, although there are barriers, there's always ways to overcome the barriers. So if you want the system laid out for you, as I just showed you, as we went through to create your own walking plan and then how also your progression over the 4 week span, make sure that you go down into the description box below and access the link so that you can download a copy and keep it for yourself. And so that is, it, of course, includes what we talked about last week, the energy audit, but then it's going to also include for the rest of the weeks as well what we're going to be talking about. So please make sure that you do that. But for this week, it includes all of those different things that we went over. Most importantly, it gives you the planning page, right? That you're able to plan how to intentionally incorporate walking as the workout into your life. So next week, tune in. So make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss it. Because next week, we're going to talk about the nourish system. We're going to talk about protein and fiber and water, all of those things that help you to be healthy, right? Healthy eating made simple. That's what we're going to talk about next week. And so, as we always do, we close in affirmations, right? Because we believe that our words have power. So please repeat after me. I honor my body with movement. I choose consistency over intensity. Small steps build real strength. And I am becoming completely whole. Let me share this scripture in closing. 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, 24th verse, the NIV version. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. And my prayer for you is that you will find a way to incorporate this movement system, that you'll be able to incorporate walk as the workout, that you'll be able to get some walking in, and it will be beneficial to your body, not just your body, but also your mind, your mood, and also just spiritually overall, just feeling healthy. Right. So we want you to be able to be healthy. And so my prayer is that you will not only be made healthy, but that you will also be made completely whole. And so until we meet again next time, be made whole.
We thank you for sharing this time with us here at Wholeness Wednesdays. Thank you for joining us to explore and experience this journey to complete wholeness. Please remember that we are only an email away. Your questions and input are welcome via bhutch@completelywhole1.com. See you next time here at Wholeness Wednesdays.